Hey everyone, Haley here from The Foiled Plan. I am back with my third and final Holi-DIY takeover video. Make sure you're subscribed to Auntie Tay's YouTube channel, turn on that notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos, and head over to The Foiled Plan to hang out with me some more. Today we're going to do something super easy and very relaxing. I'm talking about needle felting. If you've never heard of it before, that's okay. This is a totally beginner-friendly project. Let's get started. Alright, so to get started in needle felting, you're going to need a few things. I recommend starting out with just getting a little kit on Amazon that has everything that you'll need, or at least a little bit of everything that you'll need. Needle felting is done using wool roving, which is what all of these little colored pouches are filled with. So there's not a whole lot in any of these bags, but there's enough to get started and see if you like this process. You're also going to need a foam pad. If you don't have one, you can also use a big sponge. Just make sure it's nice and thick, and that will do the trick as well. For this craft, I decided I wanted to make a little candy guy, so I've decided to make him a nice bright magenta color. So I'm just pulling that roving wool out of the pouch, and roving wool is interesting because if you try to use too much force to pull it apart, it's not going to separate. But if you're nice and gentle with it and just pull off little sections at a time, it comes apart quite easily. Make sure that, especially if you're a beginner, you do protect yourself from the needle by wearing the leather finger cots included in most kits. Now, the needle that is used for needle felting is different than a regular sewing needle because it has barbs along the side so that the wool weaves into itself during each stippling motion. Make sure that you don't bend the needle as you push it into the wool and pull it back out. These needles are very delicate and you want to make sure it's going in and out at the same angle. Also, you're only pushing the needle about a ½ inch into the wool. Now that we understand how to use the needle, let's get started on our project. So you want to start with a tightly wound piece of wool. While wearing the finger cots, hold the wool ball on top of the foam pad and use the needle in a stippling motion. Make sure you move the ball around often. Don't stay in the same place. The ball will end up significantly smaller than when you started, at which point you can decide if you want to make it larger, then you add more wool to the outside and complete the process. I can tell this isn't quite ready because it's still pretty soft and squishy when I push it between my fingers. So I just continue this process until the ball is firm and there's no wispy pieces. To keep the round shape, sometimes I like to roll it between my hands and then apparently throw it off my desk. And we're back. Alright, now I can tell that this is pretty much done because it's feeling nice and firm and there's no soft wispy pieces. So I decided I wanted to make it a little bit larger, so I just rolled another piece of wool around it and continued the process until the ball was firm again. Now I'm going to use some light pink to make the sides of the candy that's sort of supposed to be like the wrapper. And then I'm also going to use the same color to make little swirls around the center of the candy piece. So I'll repeat the same process, but instead of making a round shape, I'm just going to make two small flattened pieces. And I'll lay down the wool on top of the foam. I will use that same stippling motion that I did before, and I will incorporate all of the wool into itself. Now, once I've gone over the whole piece, when it's like this, I'm going to peel it off of the foam, I'll flip it over, and then I'll do the other side, just because if you continue doing the same side the whole time, it'll end up stuck in the foam and it'll be difficult to get it off, and then you're going to end up with a lot of wispy pieces coming out of the back. Now that I have my two end pieces, I'm going to cut little slits on either side of my centerpiece, and I'm just sort of going to wedge the side pieces in. And then from there, I will use my needle again, that same stippling motion, and I will push the wool into the other piece, and that will actually connect the pieces together. You don't need to use glue or anything like that. I personally think it's a pretty neat process. Now that we have our basic candy shape, I want to add some striping, so I'm just going to take the same color that I used for the sides, and I'm going to make small little lines with it, and then I'm going to slowly wrap it around in a circle, and then you guessed it, I'm using that same stippling motion again to incorporate the new wool into the wool I've already felted. Alright, so now just to up the cuteness factor, I'm going to add a little face on this candy piece, because I feel like if you put a teeny little face on something, it automatically makes it like 10 times cuter. So just take a teensy, weensy little piece of black wool, and you can always add more to it, so start small. And I'm just making 2 little eyes and then a cute little mouth. Then to finish off, I just go around with my needle and I make sure there's no pieces that need to be pushed in further. Now you'll notice I'm not wearing my cots for this, and that's just because I was pretty comfortable with it, and doing those teeny little details for the eyes and mouth, I just went really slow. So I definitely recommend using the cots. So do as I say, not as I do. I hope you enjoyed my final Holi-DIY of this season. I know needle felting is probably new to a lot of you. Hey, it was new to me too, and I just think the process is really interesting. It's quite relaxing and it's cheap to get into, so I definitely recommend trying it out. If you're anything like me, I like to push myself out of my comfort zone when it comes to crafting, and I try new things all the time. I just want to wish you a very happy Holi-DIY. Again, my name is Hailey from The Foiled Plan, and that's all I'm gonna say. Bye!